Inequalities around the world. As we all know, inequality is present all around the world and is mostly looked down upon. Societies everywhere are trying to eradicate this problem, yet things are not as simple as they may seem. First of all, inequality in itself splits into three major categories: gender, financial, and race. The first one has its roots into the idea of men being seen as the superior gender. Everything ranging from unequal pay to offering a greater deal of respect to a man as opposed to a woman. Luckily, this issue is slowly being eradicated as people are starting to realize that drawbacks to a thing as such do indeed exist. Therefore, as young people we ought to avoid establishing any differences between one another. To us, simply ignoring that gender inequality ever existed may be the way to fully eliminate this problem. On the other hand, financial inequality is a more sensible topic and may never be, in fact, eliminated given that pure financial equality was once represented by the idea of communism. In our opinion, as cruel as it may be, a difference in people's social statuses is required. As youngsters, there is not much we can do in order to fix a thing as such as it does, in fact, need no fix. Racial inequality is affected all around the world. There are 161 countries affected by human trafficking. Racial discrimination, gender and social status plays a huge part in human trafficking and labor market. Most common victims of human trafficking are young girls of lower-income families and mostly people of color. There is an estimated 20 to 30 million slaves across the world today. In 1850 the cost of a slave if converted in today's dollar value, would be $40,000. The cost of a modern-day slave is $90. In conclusion, inequality is a rather delicate topic on one hand, given social statuses, and something rather simple when talking about gender. In short, all that youngsters can do now is to put aside any differences related to gender and to give their best in trying to help those in need.
Economical inequality in the world. The economical inequality is not easily explained. But the most fundamental problems are the different standards of education in the world. The less money a country has, the lower is the quality of the education. That means that the country has less high qualified workers, which means they only have jobs where you need only low qualifications. As a result of that the country has less industry, which means less money. This process increases the gap between the rich and the poor. But not every country can afford higher education for everyone. Another problem are the different cultures. For example, in most countries in Near and Middle East, women are not allowed to go to school or just to a certain degree. For complete financial equality between countries the following things are required. Every country needs to have the same offer in education, the same or similar religious and cultural methods. To make it possible for every country to offer high education, and open-minded and stable society, we need a new cultural, economical and political order in the whole world, because as long there are any differences between humans, a peaceful and equal world is not possible. But these days it is quite impossible to achieve a global world order where racism, discrimination and inequality are abandoned. But never stop dreaming and let's see what the future has to offer.
There can be little doubt that gender inequality does still persist in the United States, as some striking facts make clear. Women still make only about 80% of what men earn for full-time work. Women are less likely to hold managerial or supervisory positions, and when they do, their positions carry less authority. Housewives are perceived as in the lower half of all groups in social status, below blue-collar workers. Even when both partners earn wages, women do twice as much housework and child care. To be sure, American women have made substantial gains since 1970. But gains have leveled off since the 1990s, suggesting that the gender revolution may be stalling, or at least slowing down. Women are 47%. Similar social, psychological and interpersonal processes help explain how past gender relationships live on into the future, as older ideas and assumptions about men, women, and their relationships end up being used by everyone to shape new economic and social arrangements as they emerge. At the current rate of progress, it will take another 108 years to reach gender parity, according to the World Economic Forum's most recent Global Gender Gap Report. Across the 106 countries covered since the first edition of the report, the biggest gaps to close are in the economic and political empowerment dimensions, which will take 202 and 107 years to close, respectively. Possible solutions seminars about gender inequality laws that prevent the firms from establishing the salary of a worker based on other factors than the efficiency of their work, end violence and sexual assault against women. We hope that in the future the discrepancy between gender will disappear.